Okay, guys, it's time to stir up the dressing. So I am just going to dig right in. This is Southern style. This is actually 4 batches of cornbread, all crumbed up. You didn't want to see that happen. Let me get a spoon. It's actually Thanksgiving, so the kitchen's a wreck, and that's why I'm making dressing. I'm going to tell you the ingredients as I add them. Cream of chicken soup, and I'm actually going to use about 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and about 2 cans of cream of celery soup, and I'm just going to dump them and stir. We're also going to use some homemade chicken broth, which I made yesterday. I boiled an entire hen. After it was done, I pulled the chicken off the bone, and what I do, we throw the bones away, but it's not trash day, so I actually bag them up real good and tie it up, put it in the freezer and save it till trash day, because some things, if you put in your trash too soon, they stink. So that's what I do. So we have 2 cans each, 2 cans of cream of celery soup, 2 cans cream of chicken soup. I have my homemade chicken broth sitting right next to me. I actually made it fat-free by putting it in the refrigerator overnight and then skimming the fat off of it this morning. So it's sort of kind of fat-free. Now, this is, like I said, 4 batches of cornbread. So it's actually going to take a whole bunch of stuff to get it really juicy. We're going to make it actually kind of soupy before we cook it. But first, let's put all the goodies in it. So we have our soups. Now it's a lot. It is a lot. So I'm going to use about a tablespoon of sage. That may sound like a lot, and I know that some people actually use poultry seasoning. Either way, it's fine. I use sage, and I'm just going to spread it out pretty good around because I'm going to stir that in. Now, you know, when we made the cornbread, it has some seasonings in it too. Now, everybody does different. I chop up onions and celery. I actually pulverize them, and then I cook them down together with a little bit of butter. And they're going in. I'm going to just stir that in. There's a funny story, not very funny, but there is such thing as people arguing over having the onions in the dressing. And remember, I'm a messy cook. But we do like onions in our dressing, but people don't necessarily want to bite into a big old chunk of onion. So I pulverize them in my food processor, and then I cook them with the celery that I also put in the food processor, and I just cook the two together for a little while. So I've got that spread out good. Now it's time to start adding the chicken broth. I'm just going to scoop it. I'm actually going to scoop it with a coffee cup. We just use what we have on hand, don't we? So what I want to do is I want to pour in a whole bunch of chicken broth. I'm going to pour and stir, pour and stir, pour and stir. Now, dressing is made with cornbread, and cornbread is very, very dry. So it actually takes a whole lot of broth. Some people use turkey broth, or at least add some of the turkey pan drippings in their broth. I'm not the turkey baker in my house, and there's no turkey here. We baked a spiral ham this morning, but other people bake the turkeys and bring them for Thanksgiving, and so I think I'm doing pretty good though by making my chicken broth from scratch. Sorry about all the noise, but I'm not a gentle cook. But we just, as you can see, I just keep adding some broth, stirring some more, adding some broth, stirring some more. And I actually want to get this stirred in good so I can continue to add. I did bake an entire hen, and I'm going to put that meat in here as well, the chicken that I pulled off the bone, but I want to get my consistency good. And this is still a little too thick. One of the things you'll find when you're making dressing from cornbread is that the bread will soak up the juice quickly, actually. So just add a little bit at the time. Okay, there's no measurement. I'm not measuring. I could create a measurement, but that is not what I'm doing right now. I'm simply stirring and adding until I'm satisfied with the consistency. And you'll see that at the end whenever it's just about ready to go in the oven. This is actually a turkey roasting pan that I'm mixing my dressing up in. I'm not cooking it in this because that would be too thick. I'm actually going to cook it in 2 of those disposable aluminum pans because that's what us smart cooks do. When we have a boatload of people coming to our house, we use some disposable things to make it a little bit easier. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm going to go ahead now and put the chicken in, and then I may need to add some more broth. Even though I cooked a whole hen and I'm almost out of broth in this pot, I went on ahead and bought some canned broth from the grocery store just in case I didn't have quite enough. And I am going to want some more. This is not quite as soupy as I want it to be, so that it'll come out really not, I don't want to be able to dump my dressing out and slice it in like bread. It's not going to be like that. So let's add some chicken. There's stuff all over this kitchen. We have done so much cooking in the last couple of days, as all people do. Now see, my chicken is just in pieces, and I do not have time to fool with shredding this anymore. I sort of shredded it while I was pulling it off the bone yesterday. I'm not going to use all of this in here. I have a dog that he loves boiled chicken. and his Thanksgiving treat is Mama's going to give him some chicken and broth. He likes for us to put chicken in his dish and then pour the broth over it. And the vet said give it to him. He's an old man now. He's 15. And so that's one of the ways we get him to take his medicine. When he's actually hypothyroid. We just found that out recently. And he needs to take 2 thyroid pills a day. You have to trick a dog to get medicine in them sometimes. And so, as you see, I'm trying to get the chicken spread out all over. I want everybody to get some chicken. When they get them a big scoop of dressing, I want them to be able to get a piece of chicken. So, I got a lot of chicken in there now. I'm not trying to make nothing but chicken. So I'm only going to put just a little bitty bit more. And then I'm going to add some more broth. I may not have to open a can. I think that's enough. We'll save the rest of the chicken for the dog. Now let's add a little more broth. Now here's the question of the hour. I'm sure you thought the question of the hour was that adding onions to your dressing. No. How about the eggs? We have some boiled eggs that go in the dressing. My mother always put boiled eggs in the dressing. And I'm basically using her recipe, so there will be eggs in this dressing. And I have them boiled, but I didn't chop them yet, and I need to do that. So I'm going to pause and do that, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like when it's ready to go in the oven. Eggs are the last thing that I'm adding. Alrighty, I chopped up the eggs, stirred them up in there, and stirred. This is about the consistency that we want before we put it in our baking pans. It's a little soupy, but that's okay. The cornbread really soaks up the juice. And we want a moist and tender dressing. So I'm about to pan it up in my 2 pans, put it in the oven, cook it at 375 until it's nice and brown, and that could take close to an hour. So there you have it. The biggest thing about making dressing is to get the right consistency. If you don't like moist dressing and you prefer a thick, more of a sliced bread type dressing, don't put as much juice. Let's say that you put too much juice and your dressing is too moist. There's an easy fix. I know, easy, right? If you don't have any extra cornbread, and if you're first time cook, you might want to make a little extra cornbread that you can crumb up, add in, and that'll work. But if you don't have extra cornbread, you can shred some loaf bread or whatever kind of bread you have. Leftover biscuits. You'll only need a little bit of bread shredded to itty bitty pieces, just like the cornbread was. All you just need is some bread to soak up the extra juice, and you can fix it that way. I've never had to do that in my house, but I used to be a restaurant manager at a meat and potatoes restaurant, we called it. Soul food, really, country cooking, and that's what we did. So I'm about to pan it up, put it in the oven, and we're not far from Thanksgiving dinner here at my house today.